Hey guys, and welcome back to another Ready in Minutes workout. Today's full body workout is a special one because we're going to be focusing on stability all throughout. All 5 of today's movements are going to seriously challenge your ability to stabilize under load. And if some moves are too hard, I'll give you some regressions you can use to work your way up to the full move. There's also going to be a heavy focus on bottoms up work, as 3 out of the 5 moves are bottoms up exercises. So if you're still new to bottoms up work, go much lighter than you normally would so as to be able to maintain your grip on the kettlebell as you do your squat, your clean, or your press. All right, let me show you what it looks like. So stability work is pretty cool because it always reveals the cracks in your technique, if there are any, and provided that you're disciplined or humble enough, or both, to go down in weight and focus on your technique and really focus on the stability of the exercise, you'll come back to the weight you want to move much stronger and with more solid technique. So that's why every now and then I come back to it and lighten the load, slow things down, and focus on the quality of the movement. It's like spackling over your technique, you know? If there's any cracks, you're just kind of smoothing over it. All right, but that said, let's take a look at the actual techniques. All right, so I started you guys up with the hardest one, which is the bottoms up overhead press. Once you get through this, things are comparatively easier. But the first thing you want to do is get in a bottoms up position. So you can either do this by putting your hand on the bell, hiking back and stabilizing in the bottoms up, or guiding it with both hands into the bottom up. Both are perfectly okay. So to hike it back into the bottoms up position, you're going to put your hand on the middle of the bell with a firm grip, very, very firm. Tilt the bell back, hike it, and try to guide it and stabilize it right here. If this feels out of reach for you, what you can do is use both hands to guide it into this rack position. Now, if you're new to the bottoms up, I would keep one hand close by just to be able to keep the bell here, and worst case scenario, it shouldn't happen, but if the bell falls this way, you've got a buffer between the bell and your face. Now, once you're in this bottoms up position, the important thing is to keep everything stacked. So the bell is over your wrist is over your elbow, and as you press out, that stays consistent. This is a great tool for strengthening and cleaning up your overhead press, as it forces your form to stay honest and for you to stay underneath the bell, as opposed to when things get heavy, brute forcing it up. Where things get rough is if you arc out, that will inevitably happen. All right, next up we have our single leg deadlift that is offset. So that means that you have a hinging leg on one side, the working leg, and on the other side, you have your load. So this creates a lot of work for your core to manage. So when hinging, only go as far as you feel you can control. One small tip I like to give people that seems to really help with stability is if you pick one point on the ground, something that stands out, and you focus on that point, that seems to help you stabilize throughout the exercise. So try to do that as you do the single leg deadlift. However, if this exercise still feels out of reach, you can regress to a kickstand. So to do that, instead of just kicking the leg back and using it as a lever while you do your single leg deadlift, you're going to plant just the toe down of the lever leg, and you're going to hinge over the working leg, which in this case is my left one. The weight will still be offset in the other hand, and there's still going to be a lot of core work being done to maintain stability throughout the exercise, but now you don't really have to worry about losing your balance and falling off to the side. All right, next up we have our bottoms up squat. So we're gonna guide the bell up to the rack position, either with two hands or cleaning it, and we're going to squat down to the bottom, keeping everything vertical, and then back up and squeeze our glutes. What can really help with this exercise is to focus on what you're working on. So for me, I keep an eye on the kettlebell all throughout when I squat and make my way back up. To whatever degree it helps, it's made the difference for me between getting through a whole set and having things roll on my forearm halfway through. So keep your eye on the kettlebell as you squat down and up. And if you're first starting out, keep your hand here just to help you in case things start going a little iffy, and also as a buffer between the bell and your face. Not that that should happen. Next up, we have our windmills. So we're going to snatch, push, press out, overhead, however you want to. Pivot the feet in the opposite direction of the arm that's overhead. The front leg is bent, the back leg is straight. Take the free hand, push into the hip, and look up at the hand as you hinge and push back onto that leg. And bring it down, pivot the feet, clean down. There's a lot of moving parts for this exercise, and if you're new to it, I would recommend doing it without weight just to get a feel for it, and so that you don't pitch forward with weight overhead, because that could go wrong. To do that, just put your hands overhead, pivot your feet, hand on the hip, and then slow the movement down, push into the hip, and rotate, and look up at your hand. Keep the hand straight overhead, don't let it go like this, and then back up to neutral. As far as stability exercises go, it's a great choice because it makes you work doing just that at the shoulder and at the hip all throughout the exercise. Last up, we're gonna finish up with the easiest of the bottoms up exercises, which is the clean. All we're gonna do at this point, since we've worked pretty hard, is clean it up into the rack position, hold it for about a second, clean it back between the legs and back to the rack. So just as I mentioned before, we're going to set up, get a very strong grip on the bell in the center of the bell, tilt it back towards us, hike it, hold it for 1 second, allow it to drop between the legs, and guide it back to the rack. And down. And that's it, guys. A whole lot of stability and strength work. So now let's get after it together. All right, guys, so let's start with our bottoms up overhead press. Let's get into the rack position. We're stable, breathe, press for 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Good. Bring it down to the ground. Set up with the bell on the outside. We're gonna be hinging on the left leg, and the right leg is gonna be our lever. So shoulders even, and let's go for 1. 2. 3. And 4. And 5. All right. Next up is our bottoms up squat. So hand in the middle of the bell, hike it back, get it into the rack, keep your eye on the bell, squat down, pause, back up, squeeze. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Down to the ground. Next up are windmills. So get it up overhead by any means necessary. And then pivot the feet in the opposite direction. Front leg is bent, back leg is straight. Push into the hip, look up at the hand. 2 and 3, 4 and 5. All right, bring it down, pivot the feet, bring it to the ground. Last up, we're gonna finish up with our cleans. So again, hand in the middle of the bell, hike it back, pause for 1 second, 2, 3, 4, and 5. All right, and that's side 1. Let's get after side 2. All right, so we're on to side 2. For this run, I'm gonna show you some of the regressions that I talked about earlier in case some of these exercises feel a little out of reach or too difficult right now. So for the overhead press, there's no real way to regress this other than going lighter with the weight. So go with the weight that is light enough that you can maintain your grip on all throughout the range of motion. So let's get it to the rack. Keep our eye on the bell as we press it to lockout and back down. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Down. For the single leg deadlift, we're gonna be holding it in our left hand, which means our right leg is gonna be our hinge leg. So we're gonna create a kickstand with our left foot. So if we have the bell here at our side, we're gonna take our left foot and place it just a little bit behind us, using however little of the foot that we need to. So in my case, it's just the big toe. And we're going to hinge on over, keeping the bell in line with the leg so that it stays underneath our core. So that's 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 5. Bring our foot back and put it down to the ground. For the squat, we're gonna guide it into the rack position with both hands. We're gonna keep one hand here, gripping the bell tightly there as we squat down and make our way back up for 1. Now, I'm not gripping onto the bell, but I'm just putting my hand on it a little bit enough to help stabilize it if this hand is having a hard time. And 2, 3, 4, and 5. Down to the ground. Moving on to our windmill, no weight overhead. I'm just gonna put my left hand overhead, pivot with my feet in the opposite direction. Front leg is bent, back leg is straight. Push into my hip and look up at my hand as I hinge and rotate. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Back down, pivot, no clean. Last up, we've got our bottoms up clean. So the only real difference here is that when we get to the top with one hand, we're gonna put the other hand here to help stabilize it in the rack for that 1 second before cleaning between our legs and getting back and using the hand to stabilize. So let's do it together. Hand in the middle of the bell, we're gonna hike back. Put the other hand here, help catch it and stabilize it. Back between the legs, catch, stabilize. 3, 4, and 5. That's all there is to it. And that's it for side 2. Now let's get after round 2 back on the first side together. All right, back to the first side, starting with our bottoms up overhead press, hand in the middle of the bell. Hike it back into the rack position Breathe and press. I was a little close to that pipe there. Just move over a little. All right, now into our single leg dead. We are going to set up with the bell on the outside. Pick the bell up. The left is our hinging leg, the right is our lever leg, and we're holding it with the right. So pick one point, focus on it on the ground, and hinge as far as you feel you can control. Five. Down to the ground. Next up, our bottoms up squats. Grab the middle of the bell, hike it back, get to the rack position. We're stable, we got our eyes on the bell. Squat down to the bottom, pause, squeeze your glutes. 2, 3, 4, 5. Down to the ground. All right, next up, our windmills. Get it overhead and pivot the feet in the opposite direction. So off to my left, bent, straight, push, and rotate. 1. 2. 3. 4. 5. Back down, pivot, and the bell. All right, last up, we've got our clean. So, hand on the middle of the bell, hike it back, hold it for a second, clean between the legs, hold. 3, 4, 5. All right, one side left. Let's do it together. All right, starting with our bottoms up overhead press and being mindful of our surroundings. Hand on the middle of the bell, hike it back, guide it to the rack, and press out to lockout. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, next up, our single leg deadlift. So I'm gonna hold it in my left hand, which means the right leg is the hinging leg. And left leg is going behind me. And last one for 5. 2. And down to the ground. Next up, our bottoms up squat, hand on the middle of the bell. Hike it back into the rack position. Keep your eye on the bell. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, down to the ground. All right, followed by our windmills. Let's get it overhead. Pivot the feet in the opposite direction. Bent, straight, and rotate. 1, 2, 4, and 5. Whew. Bringing the bell down, pivot the feet, clean down to the ground. Last up, we've got our bottoms up clean, so sit up with your hand in the middle of the bell, hike it back into the rack position, hold for 1 second, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And that's it. So guys, there you have it, a full body kettlebell circuit with a heavy emphasis on stability. And I wanna say again that stuff like this is fantastic to work on if you really wanna get stronger and own the whole range of motion throughout your movements. So enjoy, have fun with it. Let me know if you have any questions or trouble with this. And don't be afraid to regress the exercise to a better starting point if you need to, because really a lot of building strength is all about finding the right point to start from and working up from there. I'll see you guys real soon on the next one. Stay strong.